going to North Sydney Boys, and today I want to have a chat about sort of wondering, would I have done as well as I did in the HSC if I went to my local public school or the local Catholic school that I was supposed to go to? Um, to put it bluntly, no. And I would have been the exact same person, would have had the exact same motivation, would have also just wanted to study medicine the exact same way. But there's so much more to a select school than just, I guess, oh, you've been taught better, right? The big part of going to a select school and learning and doing well and why the kids do well is it's peer learning. Honestly, a lot of the learning that I did was simply because I learned from my friends during lunchtime, during break time, after school. I could message my friends and say, "Hey, do you have the answer for this? Do you understand this?" I would regularly in the HC video call my friends and just ask them, hey, can you explain this? Or during lunchtime, I'd say, hey, can you explain this question to me? Can you answer this for me? Do you mind looking at my essay? That was the culture of North Sydney Boys. And again, probably the culture at the other top selector schools. Everyone shares their notes around, everyone helps each other. It's sort of a we're all in this together sort of mindset where everyone's helping each other, everyone's learning from each other. You can go to anyone and really ask them a question. I would ask questions from kids who got a 99.95 ATAR, duxed and got state ranks. So extremely bright kids, and they would be helping me with my maths homework. On top of this, at the top selective schools, generally what happens is a lot of the teachers there have been ex-HSC markers, or the head of maths have done some kind of HSC marking or have had exposure to HSC marking. So they really do know the ins and out of the system and how to get those top marks. And those are generally the teachers at the top selective schools and even the top private schools, I'd say even more so. I know the top private schools have a lot of the best teachers, the ones who've really done well, got all that, done their HSC marking, because it's kind of a revolving door. If you've been a teacher for a while, you might have taken a year off, done some HSC marking, come back into teaching. That's kind of how it works, right? At public schools and I guess the lower select schools, you don't really have those kind of teachers. They just don't haven't had as much exposure to HSC marking. And that's just my experience from what I've heard from my friends, is that the teachers are just a bit more knowledgeable on how to do well in these exams at the higher school. So it's the way I see it is going to a top selector school or a top private school like North Sydney Boys. It's like having a personal trainer and training at a gym where everyone else is really motivated and working really hard. So it's like, okay, everyone else is motivated. I'm pretty motivated. It's that kind of, group sort of feeling where you're all in this together. But going to a public school and doing well, it's like working out in your garage, sort of Googling on YouTube on some exercises to do with no real guidance. You don't really know what you're doing, no one to sort of guide you. It is a lot harder to do well at a non-selective, non-private school compared to a selective and private school, even if you're the exact same kid. You exact same kid, exact same work ethic, you show up to class as much, you do whatever you can. It's just a um, different environment, and it's not the same playing field, and it's a broken system. 100%, definitely a broken system. The fact that someone coming from a public school won't really be able to ever really compete from, I guess, kids coming from the top select schools or private schools. It is a broken system, but that's just how it is. And I can say if I went to my local Catholic or public school, I wouldn't have done as well. Like I just wouldn't have done as well. Now, that is why it is very important to really put those extra yards in year five, year six, even year four these days to try get into the select schools because those years of effort I do not ever think about. It was just a part of my life long time ago. It's sort of something you just do as a kid, but it has set my whole life up for things to do. It helped me get my high marks. That has helped me do a bunch of different things with uni. I got into a cool program at uni because of the marks I got. Um, Set up going, helping with my career and things like that. These opportunities I would never have gotten if I didn't get into a select school. So I'd say the effort to reward ratio is highly disproportionate in the fact that the effort that you put to get into a selector school versus the rewards that you reap later, I guess, for the rest of your life and for your career and things like that, it is highly disproportionate because you're just putting in 2, 3 years of effort to get rewarded with the things you get rewarded for going to one of the top select schools. It is that is why it is really important. And I guess what I've spoken about is the gap between the top select schools versus the lower ones. It's a huge gap. But again, the the effort to reward ratio between getting into a top to bottom selective school is huge, right? There's not a whole lot more effort that it takes to get into a school like one of the top ones like James Roos, North Sydney, Borkham, compared to the lower ones, maybe like Hurlstone or Sydney Tech or Penrith or Girraween. It's not that much more effort. You push a bit harder, you start maybe coaching a year earlier, a little bit more effort, but coming from the top ones, you just get a whole bunch of different things, right? And I could say the same thing if I went to a school potentially like Sydney Tech or Caringbah or maybe even Hurlstone, would I have done as well as I did coming from Northern Boys? Absolutely not. I would have gotten maybe two, three 8R points lower, two 8R points lower simply because the kids I was around at North Sydney Boys could teach me half the curriculum. The teachers had experience with HSC marking, the culture of the school to withhold that reputation of being one of the top schools. It was just the expectation that you do well, right? It's like I had a regimented program. I was in that really good gym with a personal trainer. I had a regimented program that I had to follow the schedule every single day. When you're a 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old, you don't have that autonomy to say, okay, I need to set aside 2 hours of work a day and do this homework and do that and do this past paper. You just don't have that. You're not old enough for that yet. That's why it's nice having all your friends and your teachers tell you, here's how you get the top marks. And that's what happens at the top select schools. Your teachers literally tell you, here's how you get the top marks. The kids in the grades above you say, okay, if you want to do well, this is what you do. That is just simply not there at the lower selector schools as well as public schools. There's no one to guide you. There's literally no one to guide you. Again, going back to the analogy, it's kind of like doing a home workout in your home garage gym. It's tough. Can you achieve results? Possibly, but it's a lot tougher. There's no one really there to guide you or help you out, right? That is why I think, and quite, confidently, I can say I would not have done nearly as good, even though I was the exact same person, exact same sort of personality, goals, things like that, would not have done